Hey, Pauly, what's happening, man?
Husky, good to see you, man.
Good
Good
to
to
see
see
you
you.
too. New week, new me, right?
Yeah, new week, new me. I'll go with that. I'll go with that.
I
Did
saw
book a
you
trip
flashing.
next year
Oh,
already. I'm
where
thinking
to?
ahead. Thinking ahead.
Where are we
Going to
going?
Florida, spring break, house is
All right.
booked, paid for, in the books. So we're just kind of kicking that around. That was actually some good news we got handled today. Although it was a mess because we booked through PayPal
Oh,
and it could have been a mess. It wasn't a mess. Mess avoided. Everything
hmm.
worked out fine.
What city, may I ask?
Davenport. So it's
Hmm.
Davenport, Florida. It's a big area, kind of right off the expressway. I don't know, I-4 maybe, but it's like this community champions gate. It's all gated. They're just super huge houses people book through Airbnb, stuff like that.
Nice.
They're
All right.
constantly being rented.
Is it on the beach or near the beach?
No. So it's
Okay.
Central Florida.
Okay.
Um, whatever, half hour, claims to be a half hour from Orlando, but you get on that road, it's going to
Cool.
take you a good hour and a half.
Yeah, man.
We're planning Disney. They're getting
Okay.
up there in age. Kids are getting up there in age.
Yeah.
Grandkids.
Oof. You're
I'll
old,
buy.
dude.
You'll see me in the goofy hat. I got to buy one.
You were sporting something a minute
Oh, I
ago.
have something here.
Yeah, man. Where'd you get
Check it
that?
out, dude.
What is that? That's different.
That's different.
UFC.
That's so limited. Let me tell you guys something. Listen. So there's my son collects these bottles and unopened bottles, and there's two dudes that went out of their way so far, and actually a couple more, but I already had them. But two dudes that went out of their way for him actually, and hooked us up with Prime that we've never gotten in our area, and one that I know I could never get in my area. Hang tight with me. All right. So in the mail, my good friend Emil sent these ones, UFC 300 limited bottles just for that event. And now we have one, right? So his collection is going to be anything we can buy here in the US that would be available to anybody to go and buy. Well, this one wasn't. This one wasn't just available for anybody to buy. You found it somewhere and at a very cheap price. And then a pal from California, Mikey Y, this one is a sponsors of the LA Dodgers, which I
Ooh.
would never get in Michigan. And it's like a baseball, right? It's got the stripes on a
How about
baseball, that
that?
good stuff. So
That's
very, very
cool.
cool. I appreciate it. He appreciates it. I've got him writing you a nice little letter and we will put it in the mailbox.
Hashtag Prime. Hit us up,
But
guys.
yeah, dude, listen, hit us up. What do you want? It's delicious.
You guys are watching the Crucible. Welcome. My name's Emil.
My name is Paul. Thank you for joining us. What do we got going?
We have a very special guest today. He is the one and only Bunker Buster himself. Let's go ahead and bring him
Yeah.
on.
Hey.
Hey guys, how you doing?
How you
Good.
doing?
Good.
I'm good. Good to see you.
HiHo Silver with Bunker Bullion.
That's okay. So we just met backstage just a few minutes ago. And before we get too involved in anything, I got to know where it all came from. Obviously, I know everybody knows HiHo Silver, but where does this stem from? Introduce yourself.
Well, I'm a retired professional musician and music teacher, and I started stacking silver at about 2014. Um,
10 years.
and I started a YouTube channel, and that's the name I came up with, HiHo Silver. So that's how
Away.
that started. And a couple years later, I started pouring silver just as a little fun thing to do on my channel, which at the time was kind of fairly good sized, and it just caught on. So my tagline with my HiHo channel was HiHo Silver from the bunker deep in the woods of the Pacific Northwest. So I just ended up calling my brand Bunker Bullion, and I've enjoyed it, and other people have enjoyed it. So I'm still doing it.
That's
Wonderful.
fantastic. So are you like you operate out of your garage, or where do you go
I
and do
have
this
a
silver?
I have a shop that's hidden, but
Nice.
separate from my house. I don't like to. In 2018, I kind of went public with my name as I signed on with some different people, and it became more public with the LLC. It's all findable anyway. So I took some additional security steps to make sure I don't have any metals in my home. So I have
Okay.
Excellent.
I have a separate shop that I use.
Very smart. Very smart. So if you could estimate, how many ounces of silver do you think you've poured to date?
Oh man, somebody asked me that, and I started trying to do math, and I'm actually decent at math, but I didn't come up with a good number. Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
I'm not sure. I've
I
been
like
doing
that.
it for about 10 years, so it's not really that much, but it adds up. Yeah.
Yeah, tens of thousands is a big number. I thought you would have said maybe like 4,000 or 5,000,
Yeah.
but wow, that's impressive.
What's your go-to? Like when you started your first pour, were you melting just random stuff you had in the house, or were you buying shot? Were you buying just what's the word I'm looking
Generics,
for? Yeah,
maybe.
generic like
Yeah.
buffaloes or anything like that. Well, what's your go-to?
When I started stacking, I really had a really diverse stack. I finished all my goals in 2018, but I started
Oh.
pouring in 2015, late 2014. One of the things that I had just picked up along the way was a 10-ounce little bag of shot, thinking that I would
Okay.
have somebody make that into something for me. And I just decided, okay, well, I'll just try it myself. So that's the first thing I did was melt that. I've got my first day pouring video on my YouTube channel still. I did it outside in the forest, man, with a little propane furnace. And that's how it started. And so I just kind of kept working on it. Eventually, I started melting whatever I could get my hands on for a decent price. And there was really hardly anybody doing it, especially on YouTube and other social media. So I had customers really quick since my channel was decent sized, and I just melted whatever. Now I melt almost 100% shot, just from a particular producer that his shot performs really well. I wish I knew why silver of the same purity performed differently, but it does. And so I use his shot to get especially the more mirror-like perfection type pieces that I cast and pour.
Yeah. And on that topic, you almost have like an artistic eye for how you present these pieces on your on your at least on your Instagram, from what I've seen.
Yeah,
That mirror finish is beautiful, but you incorporate like some kind of a backdrop. I don't know if it's like a serape or something. It's really go ahead.
It's a Honey Bunches of Oats cereal box from Costco.
Are you kidding me?
No, man. It's got a bunch of cool colors.
Tricks of the trade.
Sometimes it'll be a Coke can, whatever's sitting on my kitchen counter when I'm filming the samples.
See, I thought you were using this beautiful textile from some foreign country or something.
Yeah.
Here you're using Honey Bunches of Oats.
Yeah,
but I mean, you find a way to get the colors to really show, and it highlights the reflectiveness. What you were talking about a second ago is this shot from this supplier of yours that melts better, and I guess maybe even cools better. Every now and then you get these pieces that come out with I don't know what it's almost like a dimple in the middle, and then like little crackle ripples around it. What do you have a word for that?
I call them dimple casts.
Okay.
You're talking probably about my pooled series. Is that what you're thinking?
Probably, yeah. That sounds about right.
Those are casts. The real perfect mirrored things I do are what I call direct melt casts, and that allows me to cool the silver incredibly slowly. And what happens when you do that, the properties of the metal create that dimple in the middle. So I call them my dimple cast. And with those, you can cause some bubbling from below, and the bubble, if you overdo it, you'll burn your shop down. But if you do it right, you can get a last little bubble or two right before the final surface cools, and that creates a pool around that dimple. I find that really cool. I'm an artist. I'm a musician.
So that's taking a lot of time to achieve. A lot of test and tune, eh?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said that took you a lot of testing and tuning to find that out and figure it out, the times and how long it takes and all that great stuff.
When I first started in particular, I'm not a very handy guy. I'm a trumpet player. So I wasn't, good with tools, never had furnace type stuff. I had no clue. And there was nobody to show me. So I just experimented.
Yeah.
And I probably the first 500 or 600 pours I did, I filmed up close, slow motion. And that's how I learned what silver does under different circumstances. So I would study, I see, when I do this, this happens.
Wow.
And I made a bar for the bear. I'm sure you guys are aware of him, one of my good silver friends. And that was the first bar that I did. And it's crazy, man. It's Bubble City. And then on the top, it's got some really cool texture. And from that, I started figuring out, okay, how can I manipulate that? It's still not something I can do every time. It's just one of those things sometimes. So if you're cooling silver inside a furnace, the differential temperature between the silver itself and the mold around it and the air that surrounds it is what causes that bubbling to want to happen from below. So I kind of figured that out. But a lot of what I did was just experimental. And those are the kind of things that, had I known what I was doing, or had I had somebody show me how to do stuff, I would have never figured out some of my more unique techniques.
Sure. That's actually really cool to hear that you actually recorded all that stuff and learned from your own stuff in slow motion. That takes a lot of time and effort to actually want to do something like that to get to where you're at today.
Right. Like I said, I had no clue what I was doing, and that seemed, my channel, the HiHo Silver channel on YouTube, was kind of along that same. I enjoyed making videos with, I had a place up in the forest in the Cascade Mountains in Washington State. And every Friday, the end of the school week, I would go up into the woods, mostly because there are different thoughts that were available to me when I was secluded in the forest. And after working with a couple hundred kids every day, I enjoyed having that peace at the end of the week. So I would coordinate and choreograph my videos with music. As a musician, that's something I did, and show my animals and show the nature around and talk more about things going on in my world. That's kind of what YouTube was like back in the day. It was a community where it wasn't just talking about silver and all that. And I never really got into the giving advice kind of thing. I'm more confident that the advice I would give now would be good advice. So I do a little more of that now. But it was just fun for me to include the music in what I was doing. And that's kind of how I continue doing it on Instagram.
So what would you say some of your best advice to give to somebody, let's say in this case, for somebody who's new to pouring, wants to get into it?
Don't sell too soon would be the first one. As new people learn, practice was always part of my life. Every single day it was get your instrument out and practice. And so that's my first tip. You practice. This is an art form or a craft that allows you to reuse your medium over and over.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, and there's no sense in putting out, it's like a beginner musician taking their violin, onto the stage and saying, here I am, maybe learn how to play a little first and see where you go from there. So that's my biggest tip, is don't be in a hurry to sell. You need to practice and kind of develop some skills first.
Excellent.
Find your style, right?
Yeah, that comes later. First, again, my mind is just a musician's mind. I relate everything to music. A musician can't find their style, in my opinion, until you understand and can create more general style. And then from that point, you learn to develop your own individualized concept of what you want to sound like and those sorts of things. So I guess the other tip would be get the equipment that matches what it is that you see yourself doing. So for example, you'll see a lot of pourers using those red furnaces,
Mhm.
pouring fractional pieces. And so you have a crucible that'll hold 2 kilograms or even 3 kilograms, and you're pouring a half-ounce bar. That doesn't make any sense. It makes it incredibly difficult and dangerous. So that would be another thing, is make sure the equipment you have suits the purpose you're going to do. I went right to big stuff,
Right.
And all electric almost. I hardly ever use any torch, because I live in Douglas County, right on the Columbia River. So we have publicly owned hydroelectric dams. We have officially the cheapest electricity in the country. So I decided I'm going to go electric, and because the gas people use, it's pretty costly.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good. And what about advice towards new stackers? Because you are a stacker also. It's not just pouring you do.
I was a stacker first. I've finished adding to my own stack. I still get to kind of play around with my collection. I have a pretty sizable stack still. That's I always had a 5-year goal, and I guess that would be my tip, is set some goals.
Sure.
But I decided to stack before I made any purchases, and I started dollar cost averaging into a separate account that I intended to use to buy on the dips. So I kind of did a hybrid system. I believe in dollar cost averaging. But I also learned pretty quickly that there are some predictable things that you can zero in on with some technical analysis. And so instead of purchasing with the dollar cost average concept, I would put money into a separate account in that way. And then I followed this guy on YouTube. He used to post every single day, named Grok Trade, really skilled trader with no personal interest in the metals markets at all. He just analyzes charts. And so I learned from him as I got pouring, and even when I was stacking really hard. And so I was making purchases sometimes daily, and I would use his advice to decide which ones would be the big purchases, because he would, with his technical analysis skills, be able to kind of lay out to me the patterns that we're seeing and which were most likely to come into the future. So I used that really successfully. And then I stopped stacking in 2018 in my personal stack. I reached my goals were 5,000 ounces of silver and 20 ounces of gold. And since then, I've always had the plan was I wanted to kind of play and do some flipping and some different things like that. So I had a pretty diverse stack, and I still am kind of converting some of my collectibles to just straight up bullion. It's what I call my perma stack. That's what'll be left to my heirs.
Okay.
And so I didn't want it's, as you both know, there's some time and effort involved in knowing what certain things are worth. And I didn't want that to be something that I left to my wife, was a part-time job.
Right.
So I set a 5-year goal of at the end of this 5 years, I wanted to have in my perma stack a certain percentage of gold, certain percentage of just straight up bullion, mostly 100-ounce and kilo bars, and junk silver. And so at the end of 2019-ish, I'm pretty close to having the stack be just straight stuff that my wife can handle. And a tip that I'd have is, if you're married, and I'm late 50s, and I haven't lived a particularly healthy life, so I'm on the die young plan. So I wanted to make sure that my wife was set up with this asset. And so we took the time, we set up seller accounts for her at all of the major dealers. And so she can just instantly make a phone call, and we practiced it. And she can sell. Yeah, she can sell something, and she'll have the money direct deposit into her account in about 4 days. So that kind of became part of my motivation, was to take care of her. if you're young, it's, you know, it's still a good idea to think
Yeah.
about.
One never knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
What's my plan?
it's all a gift.
What's my exit plan? When am I going
Right.
to sell? Under what conditions am I going to sell? Who am I going to sell to?
Yep.
All those questions are things that you'll learn by following experienced folks like you and others on YouTube, trying to understand, okay, how does this game played successfully? And
Right.
so that's
And
what I've tried to do.
you know, and to that point, undoubtedly, there will be a comment in the comment section that says buy and hold, never sell.
Never sell,
And you know,
right.
there's some diehard never sellers, but you know, the reality is, what are you leaving it? You are going to leave it to somebody. You're not going to be buried with it. Maybe you will.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
But
Maybe.
when you leave it to somebody, what the heck are they going to do with it? You know,
Exactly. That's just it. And the comments like that, it's not that they're comical. I mean, I appreciate them. You appreciate them. It is what it is. People are going to say what they're going to say, you know, but there's still the fact, as our guest is doing, had to go through the process of showing his wife, helping his wife, of what to do with this stuff if there is a time that he's not around and it's going to have to be something done with it, right? And that's steps that you have to take. Husky, we talked about it for the past couple weeks, and what I just showed my wife, not same thing, but it was showing that this isn't just a trinket. This has value, right?
Right. Yep.
I didn't want her to need to liquidate something and have to take my roll of whatever. Like, I've got a roll of 20 Perth Mint error coins from 2017. I think, like, one of their only recognized errors.
That the Phoenix,
Phoenix Dragon,
mirrored gap. Yep.
Mirrored gap, which is triple or more spot price. I didn't want her to be rolling into the coin store and taking $1 under spot for some of the stuff. So that was what really got me thinking about, you know, this is going to be more work. It's not something that will make my passing easier for her. It would make it more difficult. You reminded me when you talked about the comment, someone will say buy and hold. There are things that are, I guess you would say, which would be the orthodox thinking, and that might be one of them. If you're going to do more than passively have silver, you need to always be both a buyer and a seller. First, it makes you more knowledgeable about the product that you're handling. It makes you know more, but it also it gives you an opportunity to profit under any market conditions. So you have to have a play. If you're going to play the game, you need to
feel good about it. Just to feel good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're going to do, and you have to have a plan, and you have to have a strategy, and you have to have a product to sell. So if spot goes way down, maybe that's the time you want to sell that one piece that's not really tied to spot so much because it's so collectible, or things like that. And the other kind of orthodox thinking would be buy what you like or stack what you like. We hear that a lot.
Sure.
And to a certain degree, I agree with that. But I shifted to stack what other people like.
Yeah, that's sound.
If your goal is to, you know, give it to your great grandchildren, maybe then stack what you like. But if your goal is at some point in the next decades to liquidate, nobody cares what you like when you sell. So I understand the concept. It keeps you involved and it helps you buy things along you go. But it also leads people to make some pretty dumb decisions. And I made some of those and quickly realized I'm gonna focus more on what other people like.
Right. You know, that's actually really good advice that I've heard related in the business world also. Like, if you're going to start a business and you're starting a business based on what you like, let's say, I don't know, organic, ethically sourced dog collars. The question
There
is
you
that
go.
yeah, it's great, but is there a market for
Is
it?
it
And maybe there
sellable?
is a
Right.
market. Is it sellable? Does anybody else want it?
Right.
You know, like if you want like Chinese and I don't know, Mexican fusion, maybe that's a great thing. Maybe that'd be really awesome. But you know, would it actually sell? I don't know. Maybe that one was
Yeah.
a bad example, but you're right. You're buying things that you like. Does anyone else even care that that piece looks the way it is? Or maybe it's I don't know. There's some pieces like Iron Maiden, the Iron Maiden
Yeah.
coin that came out.
Yeah.
Those is very specific. You either like them or you don't.
That's
Uh,
right.
and how many other people like Iron Maiden and collect silver? You know, it's like such a narrow pool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So but speaking of specific pieces, you
Yes.
don't just do pouring, right? You do other stuff.
I do. I have one piece that I did in 2022 as a collaboration with Intaglio Mint, based on a sculpture that I saw probably 7 or 8 years ago. And he and I had followed each other on YouTube since both of us pretty much started. So we were familiar with each other. And I knew I wanted to make this round someday. So in 2022, actually it was 2021, I contacted Intaglio Mint and we put together a collaboration piece, a 2-ounce, pretty high premium collectible round that was dual branded. Pretty sure the only dual branded thing he's ever done. The plan was to follow that up in 2023 with a 1-ounce lower premium version. That I had to put off until just came out just now. So it was 2024.
Awesome.
And that's it's called In God We Trust, the prayer at Valley Forge.
Look at that.
You see on the obverse, that's George Washington at Valley Forge. And I thought it fit my concept and channel really well with the horse bending his head in the back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And, that was a really neat project.
That's
Look
his
at the
hat
light
down below. Yeah.
That likeness to George Washington, that's as good as anything the U.S. Mint's put out in a long time with George
Very
Washington.
clean.
The hairline, the cheek line, the shadows is.
Yeah.
So it's a really done piece. This one
sword
is
here.
Yeah, I love the on the other picture you'll see the details on the boot.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
Details on the boot.
Yeah,
and
details on the boot, kind of ruffled.
The buttons and the buttons on the cuffs and the folds of I mean, it's really just well done. There was a European sculptor that translated the statue to the coin.
Wow.
I never got to know his name because it wasn't his artwork. The artwork was done in the end of the 1800s. Right. So he didn't put his name on it, which is the way an artist should think. But he did such a terrific job. And you see here on the reverse, this was Intaglio.
There is a name on this one.
Yeah, this was Intaglio Mint. It's just my logo this time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. With the In God We Trust motto in the background of the field. I really love the concept, and I'm attracted to things that are beautiful. And
that's a really good view of it here.
We went ahead and made 1,000 of these, and they just came out a couple of weeks ago. Something I'm pretty proud of.
And where can someone find this piece?
When I first started stacking, I had some experience in building websites. So I built myself a little site. It's called tastysilver.com. And so I just have my own little site, and that's where they're available now. And they'll be available on the AppMech site probably about 2 weeks.
Excellent. Excellent. So you guys can find that link in the description below.
Yes, his website link, direct buy link to this piece is going to be in the description below.
Very nice. That is a stunning piece. Yeah.
I want to bring this up one more time. It's a nice piece.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Do you have any other upcoming pieces that you have in the works?
I would like the minimum mintage to work with a mint like Intaglio, which was my first choice. I really like the work he does.
Right.
Is 1,000. And so I would like to have this be a little bit of a series if I'm successful. They're selling steadily. I'm just a dude in a bunker making silver, but people seem to like it. I used the 2022 round to fund this one, and then I'll use this one hopefully to fund the artwork for the next one. I have not contacted her, and I will at some point, but I would really like somebody like Heidi Wasweet to do a In God We Trust theme for the obverse and use the same reverse. So if the round is successful, I hope to make it into a little bit of a series using artists that I respect to create new obverses.
It's funny you mentioned her. We're actually in the works of trying to get her on the show in the upcoming weeks. Yeah.
Tell her about me, man. So when I contact her, she won't think I'm crazy.
I was going to tell you to tell her about us so that she can secure that date. And
let's just tell everybody about everybody, and let's just figure this out.
Or not. So I really liked her.
Oh, she's fantastic. So she's the one who did the Egyptian Gods series, and I think she did one or two other really good series like that.
The one she did some work with the U.S. Mint and lots of others. But the one that really caught my attention was her Freedom Girl in 2013. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Gorgeous. And
she's got an eye for really nice designs.
That's when I started following her work. And also, I guess at about the same time, she did, it might have been the first time I heard of her. Bullion did I think it was on that Egyptian series, some gold plated. So they did a kind of a small run of gold plating on some of her pieces. That was a Provident series, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Those went through Provident Metals. That and the Privateer rounds also, which are similar style.
Yeah.
Very neat. Awesome. Well, HiHo, this was fantastic having you on the show. We really do appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you.
Oh, you too. I hope we can speak again. It's nice to see faces in this game. So
no doubt, right?
For sure. It's good to see your face. Put a face to the name.
First time I've ever heard that, but
oh shoot.
But guys, for the viewers, if you're still watching, don't forget to sign up to win our 5-ounce silver pour. This is a wood pour. HiHo, I don't know if you've done a wood pour before. I'm sure you have, but
I actually haven't. But that was one of the first things I saw.
Let them see it. Let them see it.
Oh, where is it? I don't even know.
Who is it?
Here we go.
Vulcan?
This is us. No, we did this one.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, so this is a 5-ounce pour. Pine. This one was pine. Yeah, came out really nice. Man. A lot of nice detail. Looks like dragon scale almost.
So veiny, I say. So veiny.
So this is up for grabs. Anybody who wants to win that, there's 3 ways to win. You'll find them in the description section below. Don't forget to sign up. All right. But thank you guys for watching. This is the Crucible.
We will see you all next week.